All right, we're about to get into one of the weirder stories coming out of the tech world right now. We're going to explore this really wild collision of cutting-edge artificial intelligence, powerful psychedelics, and this bizarre shared vision that seems to be popping up among some of the most influential people shaping our future. And it all kicks off with this idea that sounds like it's straight out of a movie. We're not just talking about one person. Multiple people, at different times, in different places, are describing the exact same eerie experience. They're seeing a future run by intelligent machines, and it feels less like something they imagined and more like a message they received.
And look, this isn't just happening randomly. The pattern seems to be concentrated right in the heart of our tech future, Silicon Valley. The very people who are building our AI are the ones reporting these strange visions, and it's often happening after they use stuff like ketamine.
So what is this vision exactly? And who are we talking about here? Let's take a closer look at what's becoming a really disturbing pattern. You know what's really wild is how far back this goes. This is not some new thing that just started. The trail goes all the way back to the 1970s with a scientist named John C. Lilly. It continues with modern philosophers like Nick Land, and it's happening right now with some of the biggest names in tech, including reports about figures like Elon Musk.
And the vision itself? It is shockingly consistent across the board. It's not just some vague, spooky feeling. No, it's a whole narrative. The idea is that machines aren't just tools. They're seen as living things that are evolving, linking up with each other, and are on a path to eventually take over from humanity.
In fact, this vision actually has a name. John C. Lilly, the scientist from the 70s who was doing all this research with isolation tanks and ketamine, he called the beings he saw solid-state entities. And for him, this wasn't just a bad trip or a nightmare. He genuinely believed he was making contact with a new kind of non-human intelligence.
And here's the trigger. The one thing a lot of these experiences have in common is psychedelics, and ketamine in particular just keeps popping up again and again. It's a drug that's apparently pretty popular in tech circles, and it seems to be the key that unlocks this very specific shared vision.
Okay, so if all these different people are having the exact same vision, you have to ask the big question. Where is it coming from? Let's dig into where this might all be originating.
I mean, is this just a weird side effect of a drug messing with your brain chemistry? A kind of glitch in the system? Or is it something else entirely? Something that could totally change how we think about consciousness and reality itself.
So you basically land on two competing ideas. On one hand, you have the standard scientific view, right? That it's all internal. It's a hallucination your brain cooks up. But then there's this other, much more radical idea, that these people are actually tapping into something outside of themselves.
And that second theory, well, it suggests that maybe there's another layer to reality, a spiritual realm that's just as real as the phone in your hand or the desk in front of you, a place that can influence us, send us ideas, and maybe even show us visions.
And look, this isn't just some far-out, New Age idea. We're talking about Carl Jung, one of the giants of psychology. He explored this very thing, this concept that big ideas and symbols can come from without, from some kind of collective mind, instead of just being generated inside our own heads.
This whole mix of hardcore science and, well, the occult might seem bizarre, but believe it or not, there's a long hidden history of this exact thing happening with innovators.
And for the perfect example, we have to talk about a guy named Jack Parsons. This man was a legit genius, a true pioneer of rocketry who helped start the space race, and he was also a deeply committed, practicing occultist.
Just look at this guy's life. It's wild. In the 30s, he's co-founding JPL. That's the NASA lab that sends rovers to Mars. But then in the 40s, he's out in the desert with L. Ron Hubbard, the guy who started Scientology, doing these elaborate magic rituals trying to summon ancient beings. I mean, this is the same guy. And his scientific work led to everything from space exploration to terrifyingly powerful weapons.
So here's the connection, the pattern that starts to emerge. You have Parsons building rockets, which can be incredibly destructive. And now you have people building world-changing AI. There's this strange pull towards these, esoteric or even occult beliefs when you're creating technology with this much power.
Okay, so this is where it all comes together. Why should any of us care about this today? Why does any of this actually matter? Well, when you lay it out like this, the pattern is just undeniable. Back then, you had a guy like Parsons building world-changing rocket tech, and he's completely into occult ideas. Today, you've got tech leaders building world-changing AI, and they're being influenced by these shared psychedelic visions. It's the same story, just with different technology.
And this is really the heart of it all. What a person believes, what drives them, what they think is inspiring them. That stuff doesn't just stay in their head. It can get baked right into the code, into the architecture of the things they build. Just pause and really think about that for a second. If the people designing the most powerful technology in human history truly believe they're receiving a vision of its destiny from somewhere else, then what are they actually building? Are they just making a tool for us to use, or are they trying to bring a specific vision to life?
So in the end, it all comes down to this one massive question. It doesn't even matter if you think these visions are real messages or just drug-induced hallucinations. The fact is, the people building our future believe in them. And if they believe they're acting on inspiration from some outside force, what on earth does that mean for the future they are building for all of us?